What if everything you've been chasing was never the real key to happiness? What if the life you imagine, the peace you crave, the joy you keep searching for was already within your reach, waiting for you to see it clearly? Think about how often you run through your days, chasing goals, scrolling endlessly, comparing yourself to others, measuring your worth by likes, money, or achievements. And yet, when the noise fades, you still feel that quiet emptiness inside. That's not because you're broken. It's because you've been looking in the wrong place. Happiness in 2025 will not come from faster technology, a bigger paycheck, or even from reaching some perfect version of yourself. Happiness will come from how you choose to live right now in this moment. It's about shifting from the endless chase for more to the deep realization that life is already enough if you learn how to see it. That realization changes everything, because the truth is joy is never outside of you. It's a skill, a mindset, a way of being. And once you train yourself to see life differently, you unlock a strength that no circumstance, no setback, no failure can take away. Think of the times you achieved something you thought would finally make you happy. The new job, the new relationship, the shiny reward. It felt good, maybe even amazing for a while, but soon the feeling faded. Why? Because the mind quickly adapts. That's called the hedonic treadmill. Psychologists discovered that we humans quickly return to our baseline level of happiness no matter what happens. We win, we lose, we gain, we break, but eventually we adapt. That's why relying on outside events never works for lasting fulfillment. True happiness comes from the inside out, from the thoughts you nurture, the values you live by, and the choices you make daily. So here's the invitation. Stay with this message until the end, because we are about to explore 13 truths that can reshape how you see life in 2025. Not empty cliches, not shallow feel-good lines, real principles grounded in science and human experience that will help you feel lighter, stronger, and more alive. Each one is a doorway into a happier version of you. Not a version that needs to be perfect, but a version that feels free. Free from comparison, free from regret, free from the endless chase that has been stealing your joy. And here's why it matters. Every day you wait, you lose time. Not just hours, but moments of peace, laughter, and connection you'll never get back. Imagine yourself a year from now looking back at today. Do you want to remember another cycle of rushing, doubting, wishing, and waiting? Or do you want to remember the moment you decided enough was enough? That happiness was not something to postpone for the future, but something you started living now? That decision right here could be the most powerful one you make in 2025. Because once you shift your focus from chasing happiness to creating it, your entire life changes, your energy changes, your relationships change, your sense of purpose deepens. You become the kind of person who no longer waits for life to give you reasons to smile. You create them. And that is the kind of happiness that lasts. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear next can unlock that power within you. Happiness begins with clarity, and clarity begins with honesty. Ask yourself right now, how much of your life is truly yours? How many choices have you made because they align with your values? And how many because you felt pressured, judged, or afraid of disappointing others? Most people live on autopilot, trapped in expectations handed down by family, society, or comparison. They chase paths that never belong to them, and deep down they know something feels off. That inner conflict is the weight that keeps you restless, no matter how much you achieve. The truth is, happiness is impossible when you're living someone else's definition of success. Real fulfillment starts when you strip away the noise and finally admit what matters most to you. Maybe it's health, maybe it's freedom, maybe it's connection, creativity, or peace. Whatever it is, it must be yours, not borrowed from someone else's highlight reel. Studies in positive psychology show that people who live in alignment with their core values report higher levels of life satisfaction, resilience, and well-being. That's because alignment removes the constant tug-of-war between who you are and who you think you're supposed to be. Think about the relief you would feel if you no longer needed to prove yourself to anyone. No more exhausting battles for approval. No more bending into shapes that break your spirit. Just the quiet confidence of knowing you are living true. That's where joy begins, not in perfection, but in authenticity. And authenticity is not something you wait to find. It's something you choose day by day, moment by moment, decision by decision. Every time you say yes to what feels right and no to what drains you, you reclaim another piece of yourself. The mind resists this because it craves safety. It tells you to follow the crowd, to avoid risk, to seek comfort in conformity. But here's the paradox. The comfort zone is not comfortable. It's suffocating. It lulls you into routines that numb your soul while convincing you it's safe. The longer you stay there, the more your dreams shrink, the more your energy fades, and the more distant true happiness feels. Stepping into authenticity requires courage, but that courage is the very thing that gives your life meaning. Imagine the kind of power you would feel if you finally trusted yourself enough to walk your own path. Imagine the peace of not needing to wear masks, of not hiding parts of yourself to fit in. That kind of freedom is worth more than any paycheck, any status symbol, any shallow approval. Because when you are fully you, you attract people who respect you, opportunities that align with you, and experiences that feed your spirit instead of draining it. This is the shift that turns life from survival into fulfillment. It's not about adding more to your life. It's about removing what was never yours to carry. The false expectations, the comparisons, the pressure to prove your worth. When those fall away, what's left is the real you. And the real you is already enough. That realization is not just liberating, it's the foundation of a truly happy life. You don't need to wait for some perfect future to start living this way. You can begin now with one choice, one act of honesty, one step toward alignment. And the moment you do, you'll feel it. The weight lifting, the energy returning, the spark of joy that comes from finally living in truth. That spark is where happiness starts to grow. When you begin to live true to yourself, something remarkable happens. You stop being a prisoner of the past and a hostage of the future. Most unhappiness is born in those two places, in memories you cannot change and in fears of events that may never come. The mind is skilled at replaying old wounds and inventing new worries, but the cost is enormous. It steals the only space where happiness can ever exist, the present moment. You can only breathe now, feel now, choose now, live now. Yet most people give their energy to ghosts of yesterday and illusions of tomorrow. Research in neuroscience shows that the brain is not wired to keep us happy. It is wired to keep us safe. That means it constantly scans for threats, reliving mistakes to avoid repeating them, imagining worst-case scenarios to stay prepared. This served our ancestors in dangerous environments, but in today's world, it creates endless anxiety. The brain holds onto pain like armor, thinking it's protecting you, when in reality, it's trapping you. True freedom begins when you recognize this pattern and decide to break it. Happiness grows when you anchor yourself to the present, when you pause long enough to notice your breath, the warmth of sunlight on your skin, the sound of laughter, the beauty of something simple and overlooked. These moments are not small, they are everything. Studies on mindfulness prove that people who train themselves to stay present experience greater joy, less stress, and stronger resilience. Because when you are fully here, you are no longer dragged backward or pushed forward. You are alive, aware, awake. The most powerful gift you can give yourself is presence. Imagine waking up tomorrow and refusing to let your mind run ahead with fears or fall back into regret. Imagine choosing to see the ordinary as extraordinary. Your morning coffee becomes a ritual of gratitude. A conversation becomes a connection. A walk becomes a meditation. Life stops feeling like a blur and starts feeling like a miracle. That shift is not just philosophy, it is the foundation of lasting happiness. But the mind will resist. It will tempt you back into loops of what if and if only. It will convince you that happiness lies in the next milestone, the next purchase, the next chapter. The truth is, if you cannot find joy here, you will not find it there. Chasing happiness in the future only delays it. Presence teaches you that joy is not hidden in someday. It is always available now. This does not mean you ignore your goals or your dreams. It means you stop postponing happiness until they arrive. You stop telling yourself, I'll be happy when, and start choosing, I am happy because I am alive today. That choice transforms how you work, how you love, how you live. You are no longer racing for a finish line that keeps moving. You are running because you love the run. Happiness is not a distant reward. It is a practice of noticing, appreciating, embracing what is already here. The more you train this, the less power fear and regret hold over you. And slowly, the noise quiets, the weight lifts, and life feels lighter. This is not escape. It is arrival. It is the moment you stop searching and finally begin living. When you learn to arrive fully in the present, you also begin to see the truth about one of the greatest sources of happiness, gratitude. Gratitude is not just saying thank you. It is training your mind to focus on what is abundant instead of what is missing. The human brain is designed to notice problems, to magnify what is wrong, to prepare for danger. That's why you can have 10 good things happen in a day, but the one bad moment stays with you. Gratitude is the antidote. It rewires your mind to stop feeding fear and start feeding joy. Science proves this. Studies show that people who practice gratitude regularly experience higher levels of happiness, stronger immune systems, deeper sleep, and even longer lives. Why? Because gratitude interrupts the cycle of negativity. It tells your nervous system you are safe, you are cared for, you are not lacking. In a world that constantly screams not enough, gratitude whispers you already have more than you see. And that whisper can change your entire life. Think about the weight you carry when you focus only on what you don't have. The constant comparing, the endless striving, the silent frustration that life never seems enough. That mindset keeps you blind to the blessings already around you. It robs you of the joy of now. But when you choose gratitude, even in small moments, the weight begins to lift. You stop obsessing over what you lack and start recognizing the richness that has always been there. That recognition turns ordinary days into extraordinary gifts. Gratitude is not about pretending life is perfect. It is about seeing clearly that even in imperfection, there is beauty. Even in struggle, there are lessons. Even in loss, there can be growth. This shift does not ignore pain. It transforms it because gratitude is not fragile. It is strong enough to hold both joy and sorrow at the same time. And when you practice it, you realize happiness is not the absence of difficulty. It is the ability to see light, even when the path is dark. Imagine beginning each day not with a rush of stress, but with a simple reflection. What am I thankful for right now? Not someday, not in the future, but today. It could be the fact that you can breathe, that you can see, that you can love, that you can still change. These are not small things. They are everything. Gratitude magnifies them until they fill your heart with a quiet strength. And that strength carries you through whatever life places before you. Gratitude also deepens your connections with others. When you choose to notice the good in people, you begin to treat them differently. You express appreciation, you build trust, you strengthen bonds. Human connection thrives on gratitude because it reminds us we are not alone and that others matter. Happiness is never built in isolation, it grows in relationships. Gratitude is the bridge that makes those relationships stronger. The power of gratitude lies in its simplicity. It does not require money, status, or perfect circumstances. It requires awareness, intention, and practice. The more you choose it, the more natural it becomes. And soon, gratitude stops being something you do. It becomes who you are. From that place, happiness is no longer fleeting. It becomes steady, grounded, unshakable. Because no matter what changes in the world around you, gratitude ensures you never lose sight of the gifts already in your hands. Gratitude awakens something powerful within you. But to sustain that power, you must also master the way you speak to yourself. The voice inside your head is the loudest influence on your life. It shapes how you see the world, how you handle challenges, and how you treat yourself when you fall short. For many people, that voice is harsh, critical, and unforgiving. It repeats the words of doubt and judgment they've absorbed over the years until it becomes their truth. But that truth is not real. It is only a story, and stories can be rewritten. Psychologists call this inner dialogue self-talk, and research proves that it directly affects your emotions, your motivation, and even your physical performance. When you feed yourself words of defeat, your body responds with tension, stress, and fear. But when you speak with encouragement, compassion, and belief, your body and mind align with strength and possibility. The way you talk to yourself becomes the script you live by. And if you want happiness, that script must empower you, not diminish you. Imagine how different your life would feel if the voice in your mind stopped tearing you down and started building you up. Instead of, I'm not enough, you hear I'm growing. Instead of, I always fail, you hear I'm learning. Instead of, I can't, you hear I will find a way. This is not about lying to yourself. It's about choosing words that fuel growth instead of fear. Words that remind you of your resilience, your progress, your ability to rise again. That shift changes not just how you think, but how you act. Most people believe happiness comes from achievements, but science shows it begins with mindset. A positive internal dialogue increases confidence, resilience, and overall well-being. And here's the truth. No one else can control that voice but you. You may not control what happens around you, but you can choose how you speak to yourself about it. That choice can either chain you to misery or free you into joy. Consider the moments you've been your own harshest critic. Did that criticism lift you up or did it weigh you down? Did it push you forward or did it keep you stuck? Now picture the opposite, treating yourself with the same compassion you would offer a friend, encouraging yourself the way you encourage others, reminding yourself of your worth, your progress, your strength. That shift is not weakness, it is power, because when you treat yourself with kindness, you create the safety to grow, to try, to keep moving no matter what. Happiness is not found in perfection, it is found in the relationship you build with yourself. If that relationship is toxic, no achievement, no recognition, no success will ever feel like enough. But if that relationship is healthy, if you learn to be on your own side, happiness becomes steady. You stop waiting for outside validation because you already carry validation within. The voice in your mind can either be your prison guard or your greatest ally. The choice is yours. Train it, nurture it, and guide it toward truth and strength. Speak to yourself in a way that lifts your spirit instead of crushing it. Every word you feed yourself plants a seed. Choose seeds of courage, compassion, and belief, and you will harvest happiness that no one can take away. When your inner voice begins to support you instead of sabotage you, a new door opens, the door to resilience, because no matter how much you cultivate gratitude, presence, or self-compassion, life will still bring storms. Happiness is not about avoiding those storms. It is about learning how to stand in the rain without losing your fire. Resilience is the skill that transforms pain into growth and setbacks into stepping stones. Without it, every challenge feels like the end. With it, every challenge becomes a beginning. Psychologists describe resilience as the ability to bounce back, but it is more than that. It is the ability to move forward stronger, wiser, and deeper than before. Resilient people are not spared from difficulty. They are shaped by it. They face the same losses, the same failures, the same disappointments as everyone else, but they rise differently. They rise because they do not see struggle as a verdict against them. They see it as a training ground within them. Think about what happens when you encounter adversity. Your mind can spiral into fear, doubt, and self-pity, or it can anchor itself in strength, hope, and determination. The difference is not in the event, but in your response. Research in positive psychology proves that resilient people experience greater overall happiness because they interpret challenges as opportunities to learn rather than punishments to endure. That shift in perception turns suffering into fuel. Resilience is not something you are born with. It is something you build, and it grows every time you choose not to break, every time you rise one more time than you fall, every time you refuse to let life harden your heart. It grows when you stop asking, why me? And start asking, what can this teach me? That single question has the power to transform your entire perspective. Instead of seeing yourself as a victim of life, you become an author of your own transformation. Truth is, you are stronger than you believe. You have survived days you once thought would break you. You have endured pain you thought would last forever. And yet here you are, breathing, standing, still capable of joy. That is resilience. It is not loud, it is not glamorous, but it is powerful. It is the quiet force that carries you through the darkest nights and leads you back to the light. Happiness does not mean a life free of hardship. It means trusting that no hardship has the power to erase your ability to grow. The storms will come, but they do not have to destroy you. They can shape you into someone braver, wiser, and more compassionate. Resilience is the bridge between pain and purpose. Without it, life feels unbearable. With it, life becomes meaningful no matter what happens. Every time you rise after falling, you remind yourself of your strength. Every time you choose growth over despair, you expand your capacity for joy. And every time you carry resilience forward, you step into a happiness that is no longer fragile. Because when you know you can endure, happiness stops being conditional. It becomes unshakable, rooted not in circumstances, but in the strength of your spirit. Resilience gives you strength to face the storms, but true happiness also requires something deeper, the ability to let go. So much of human suffering comes not from what happens, but from the way we cling to what we cannot control. We hold on to grudges, mistakes, lost opportunities, and people who no longer belong in our lives. We replay the past as if rehearsing it could change the outcome. We grip the future so tightly that we crush our ability to breathe in the present. The harder we hold, the heavier life feels. Freedom comes the moment you release. Letting go is not about giving up. It is about recognizing what no longer serves your growth and choosing to set yourself free. When you carry anger, resentment, or regret, you poison your own peace. You may believe you are punishing the person who hurt you, but in reality, you are only punishing yourself. Research in psychology shows that forgiveness, even when difficult, leads to lower stress, better health, and greater happiness. Forgiveness is not about excusing what happened. It is about refusing to let what happened control you any longer. Think of how much lighter you would feel if you released the weight you have been carrying for years, the apology that never came, the mistake you cannot undo, the relationship that ended, the dream that failed. None of these define you unless you allow them to. Holding on only drains your strength. Letting go returns it. It clears space in your heart for joy to grow again. It allows you to step into the future without chains dragging behind you. The mind resists letting go because it confuses holding on with safety. It tells you that if you release control, you will be vulnerable. But the opposite is true. The tighter you cling, the more powerless you feel. Letting go does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop suffering over what you cannot change. It means you stop pouring energy into the impossible and redirect it toward what you can create today. That choice is not weakness. It is power. Imagine the peace of waking up tomorrow without the constant replay of old pain. Imagine looking ahead without fear, free to embrace what is unfolding instead of fearing what you might lose. That peace is available the moment you decide to surrender what was never meant to stay. Happiness cannot live in a heart crowded with resentment and fear. It thrives in space, in openness, in the courage to trust life again. Letting go is a daily practice. Some days it will feel natural, other days it will feel impossible. But every time you release even a little, you reclaim energy, clarity, and strength. You create space for new experiences, new connections, new growth. Happiness is not just about adding more to your life. It is about releasing what no longer belongs. When you let go, you step into freedom. You stop being defined by wounds and start being defined by wisdom. You stop being trapped in the past and start being alive in the present. And in that freedom, happiness stops being a fleeting feeling and becomes a way of being. Because no burden weighs heavier than what you refuse to release. And no joy shines brighter than the one that rises when you finally let it go. Letting go creates space, and in that space, something vital can grow: connection. Human beings are wired for it. From the moment we are born, our deepest need is not for wealth, status, or achievement. It is for love, for belonging, for the feeling that we matter to someone else. Yet in a world obsessed with independence and comparison, many people isolate themselves, chasing success while starving the very relationships that could bring them joy. The truth is, no matter how strong you are, life loses meaning without connection. Science confirms this. Decades of research show that strong, supportive relationships are the greatest predictor of long-term happiness and health. Not money, not fame, not possessions. The people in your life determine the quality of your life. When you feel seen, valued, and supported, you thrive. When you feel lonely and disconnected, even the greatest achievements feel hollow. That is why nurturing relationships is not optional for happiness. It is essential. But connection does not happen by accident. It requires intention. It requires vulnerability. It requires giving as much as receiving. Many people long for deep bonds but keep their walls so high that no one can reach them. They fear being hurt, rejected, or misunderstood, so they hide behind masks of perfection. But happiness cannot exist behind walls. It lives in the messy, honest space where two people show up as they truly are. Think about the energy you carry when you are with people who lift you up. The way laughter flows easily, the way silence feels safe, the way you leave feeling lighter than when you arrive. Those moments are not trivial. They are medicine. They remind you that you are not alone, that your life is interwoven with others, that your story matters because it touches theirs. That is the essence of connection. and it is one of the deepest sources of joy. The mistake many make is chasing quantity instead of quality. They collect followers, likes, or casual interactions, but neglect to build depth. True connection is not about numbers, it is about presence. It is about putting away distractions and choosing to give your full attention. It is about listening not to respond, but to understand. It is about expressing gratitude, kindness, and love without holding back. Small acts of presence create bonds that no amount of digital noise can replace. Connection also means courage. The courage to open your heart even after it has been broken. The courage to trust again even when trust has been betrayed. The courage to say, I need you or I care about you without fearing how it will be received. Vulnerability may feel like risk, but it is actually the foundation of intimacy. Without it, relationships remain shallow. With it, they become the anchor that carries you through every season of life. Happiness expands when you choose to invest in connection, when you pick up the phone instead of scrolling, when you make time for conversation instead of excuses, when you forgive instead of holding grudges, when you choose love over pride. Every choice to connect builds a web of support that makes joy not only possible, but unshakable. Because no matter how unpredictable life becomes, you will not face it alone. And knowing you are not alone is one of the greatest joys you will ever experience. Connection nourishes the heart, but to fully experience happiness, you must also care for the vessel that carries you through life, your body. Too often, people separate mind and body as if they are two different worlds, but they are inseparably linked. The thoughts you think influence your energy, your emotions shape your health, and the way you treat your body affects the clarity of your mind. Neglect one and the other suffers. Nurture both, and you unlock a level of vitality that amplifies every other part of life. Happiness is not only a state of mind, it is also a state of biology. Studies show that movement, nutrition, and rest directly impact mood, resilience, and mental clarity. Exercise releases endorphins, the chemicals of joy. Sleep restores balance to the nervous system. Healthy food fuels the brain with energy to think clearly and the body with strength to live fully. These are not luxuries, they are foundations. You cannot expect to feel alive if you are running on exhaustion, poor fuel, and neglect. The body is not an obstacle, it is your ally. It is the instrument through which you experience every joy, every relationship, every dream. Yet many treat it as an afterthought, pushing it beyond its limits, numbing its signals, criticizing its appearance. Happiness fades when the body is mistreated because your very capacity to feel joy depends on the health of your system. Caring for your body is not vanity. It is gratitude in action. It is the acknowledgement that life is a gift and you are choosing to honor it. Think of the energy you gain when you move your body with intention, whether through walking, stretching, or training with strength. Think of the peace you feel after a full night of deep restorative rest. Think of the clarity that comes when you fuel yourself with foods that energize rather than deplete. These moments are not small. They are the roots of happiness. Because when your body feels strong, your spirit feels free. When your body feels balanced, your mind feels calm. Happiness is not found in punishing yourself with extreme routines or impossible standards. It is found in consistency, in treating yourself with respect, in listening to the signals your body gives. Your body does not need perfection. It needs care. It needs movement, nourishment, and rest, given with love instead of criticism. And when you provide that care, you discover that happiness is not only emotional, it is physical. It flows through your veins. It breathes in your lungs. It beats in your heart. Taking care of your body is also an act of empowerment. It is the decision to stop being a passive passenger in your own life and start being an active participant. It is the refusal to let fatigue, illness, or neglect steal the moments of joy you deserve. Every step, every healthy choice, every hour of rest is not just about living longer. It is about living better. Your body is the home of your soul, the bridge between your inner world and the outer one. Treat it as sacred and it will reward you with energy, resilience, and strength to pursue the life you dream of. When your body thrives, your mind shines, and your happiness becomes not only a thought but an embodied experience you carry into every moment of your life. Caring for your body unlocks energy, but energy without direction soon scatters. To sustain happiness, that energy must be guided by purpose. Purpose is the compass that turns existence into meaning. Without it, even comfort feels empty. With it, even struggle feels worthwhile. Human beings are not wired simply to survive. They are wired to create, to contribute, to feel that their life matters in a way that reaches beyond themselves. When you discover your why, every day becomes more than a routine. It becomes a step in a meaningful journey. Purpose is not something only a few special people find. It is not reserved for those with grand titles or extraordinary talents. Purpose lives within everyone, waiting to be recognized. Sometimes it is bold and visible. Other times it is quiet and simple. It can be raising a family, building a dream, serving others, or creating beauty. What matters is not its size, but its truth. The greatest unhappiness comes not from failure, but from drifting without direction, living only to get through the day instead of living for something that lights your spirit on fire. Psychology shows that people with a strong sense of purpose live longer, experience less stress, and report higher levels of well-being. That is because purpose gives suffering meaning. It transforms obstacles into lessons and pain into fuel. When you know why you are walking, the weight you carry feels lighter. Purpose does not erase difficulty, but it makes difficulty worthwhile. It turns endurance into courage and effort into fulfillment. The search for purpose often feels overwhelming, but the path is simpler than it seems. It begins with listening to what energizes you, what moves your heart, what feels meaningful when everything else feels shallow. It grows when you stop asking, what do I need to gain? And start asking, what do I have to give? Purpose is less about what you achieve and more about what you contribute. It is the way your life touches the lives of others, even in ways you may never fully see. Imagine waking up each morning, not with dread or indifference, but with a quiet fire inside you. Imagine knowing that your actions, no matter how small, are connected to something larger than yourself. That feeling is the heartbeat of happiness. It gives you the strength to rise even when you are tired, to persist even when you are tested, to smile even when circumstances are heavy. Because you are not just passing time, you are fulfilling a reason for being. Purpose does not need to be discovered in a single moment of clarity. It reveals itself through choices, through attention, through following the pull of what feels true. And as it unfolds, it transforms how you see everything. Work stops being just work. It becomes contribution. Relationships stop being coincidence. They become connection. Challenges stop being curses. They become callings. Life itself stops being random. It becomes a mission. Happiness rooted in purpose is unshakable. It is not dependent on the approval of others or the ups and downs of fortune. It is anchored in meaning, and meaning cannot be taken away. When you live with purpose, you are not just alive, you are awake. And in that awakening, happiness stops being something you chase and becomes something you embody every day with every breath. Living with purpose lights the path, but to walk it with joy, you must also learn the art of balance. Modern life glorifies extremes, work without rest, ambition without pause, achievement without reflection. Yet happiness cannot survive in imbalance. Burnout, exhaustion, and constant striving steal the very joy you are working so hard to find. Balance is not about doing less. It's about doing what matters most, while protecting the energy that keeps your spirit alive. Your mind, body, and heart are interconnected systems, and when one is drained, all are affected. You may achieve success on the outside, but if you sacrifice health, relationships, or peace in the process, happiness slips away. Balance is the ability to nurture every part of your being so that none is left starving. It is the discipline of knowing when to push forward and the wisdom of knowing when to pause. It is the courage to step off the treadmill of constant busyness and remind yourself that you are a human being, not a machine. Research in psychology shows that chronic imbalance leads to stress, anxiety, and a decline in overall well-being, while balanced living restores resilience and emotional stability. This does not mean dividing life into equal portions. It means honoring what needs attention in the moment. Sometimes balance looks like hard work and focus. Sometimes it looks like rest, play, or silence. True balance is fluid. It shifts with the seasons of your life, but it always protects your wholeness. Happiness thrives in balance because balance creates space for presence. When you are overextended, you cannot enjoy the journey. You are too busy surviving it. But when you give yourself room to breathe, you rediscover the beauty of simple moments. A meal shared without distraction, a walk without hurry, a conversation without rushing to the next task. These moments are not wasted time. They are the essence of life. The fear many people carry is that pausing means falling behind, but the truth is, imbalance costs far more than rest ever will. Burnout steals years from your health. Neglecting relationships creates loneliness no success can fill. Ignoring your inner peace leaves you restless, no matter how much you accomplish. Balance is not weakness, it is strength. It is what allows you to sustain your energy, protect your joy, and keep moving forward without losing yourself along the way. Imagine a life where your work feels meaningful, your relationships feel alive, and your inner world feels calm. Imagine pursuing goals with passion, but never at the expense of your health or happiness. That is what balance offers, not perfection, but harmony. A rhythm of living that allows you to give fully while also receiving, to strive without breaking, to grow without losing sight of yourself. Happiness is not the result of doing everything. It is the result of doing the right things with the right heart. Balance teaches you to say yes to what fuels your spirit and no to what drains it. It guides you to create space for joy, rest, and renewal, so that life is not just about surviving, but about truly living. And when you find that balance, happiness flows naturally, not as a fleeting moment, but as a steady state of being. Balance allows you to breathe, but happiness also demands growth. Without growth, even balance becomes stagnation. Human beings are designed to expand, to evolve, to push beyond limits and discover what lies on the other side of fear. Growth is not about becoming someone else. It is about uncovering the fuller version of who you already are. Every challenge you embrace, every skill you learn, every limitation you break becomes proof that you are not stuck. You are alive, capable, and becoming more each day. Psychology calls this the principle of self-actualization, the innate drive within every person to reach their highest potential. People who commit to growth report greater happiness because growth gives life momentum. It creates excitement, possibility, and a deep sense of progress. Without it, life feels repetitive, stale, and uninspired. The mind thrives when it is challenged, when it has something to strive toward, when it knows it is moving forward rather than circling in the same patterns. Growth is not always comfortable. In fact, it rarely is. It often requires stepping into the unknown, facing discomfort, and confronting the voice inside that says you can't. But that discomfort is the birthplace of transformation. The very moments you feel resistance are the moments your soul is stretching. You are not meant to stay small. You are meant to grow into the fullness of your strength, your creativity, your purpose. Think of the energy that surges through you when you master something you once thought was impossible. The confidence that builds when you face a fear and come out stronger. The pride that fills you when you realize you are not the same person you were yesterday. These moments are not only victories, they are reminders that happiness is not just found in comfort, but in challenge, in the courage to expand beyond what once held you back. The key is to embrace growth not as a punishment, but as a privilege. Growth means you are alive, you are capable, you are evolving. Every setback becomes a lesson. Every obstacle becomes training. Every step forward, no matter how small, becomes a declaration that you are still moving, still becoming, still alive to possibility. Happiness flourishes when growth becomes your mindset. Instead of fearing failure, you see it as feedback. Instead of dreading challenges, you see them as opportunities to rise. Instead of comparing yourself to others, you measure yourself against who you were yesterday. This shift creates a deep well of fulfillment because progress is happiness in motion. Imagine living each day with the quiet excitement of knowing you are expanding. Imagine waking up with curiosity instead of fear, seeing every challenge as an invitation to become stronger. Growth turns life into an adventure rather than a burden. It transforms fear into courage, struggle into wisdom, and progress into joy. Happiness is not about reaching a final destination. It is about walking a path of continual growth, where each step reveals more of your strength, more of your potential, more of your light. And as long as you are growing, happiness will always have room to thrive within you. Growth expands your capacity, but it is connection that nourishes your soul. Human beings are not built to walk this journey alone. Happiness multiplies when it is shared, when your victories are celebrated with others and your struggles are lightened by a hand that holds yours. The deepest research in psychology confirms what the heart already knows. Meaningful relationships are the single strongest predictor of long-term happiness. Not wealth, not status, not possessions. Connection. To feel truly seen, to feel understood, to belong. These are not luxuries, they are fundamental needs. A life filled with achievements but empty of connection soon feels hollow. But even in the simplest moments of genuine human warmth, life feels rich. It is not the number of people around you that matters, but the depth of the bonds you create. One true connection can lift you higher than 100 shallow interactions. Connection requires more than presence. It requires vulnerability. To be open, to allow others to see the real you takes courage. Yet this courage creates intimacy, trust, and love. Walls may protect you from hurt, but they also lock out joy. Happiness is not found in perfection, but in authenticity, in the willingness to be human, to admit you are not invincible, to share your truth and allow others to share theirs. When you give yourself to connection, you also give yourself to contribution, because relationships are not only about what you receive, but about what you offer. The kindness you give, the support you share, the encouragement you provide, they create ripples that return to you in ways you cannot predict. Love, compassion, and generosity are not resources that diminish. They expand the more you use them. Imagine the power of a life where you are both supported and supportive, both loved and loving, both understood and understanding. That balance creates a circle of happiness that feeds itself endlessly. The more you invest in connection, the more fulfillment flows back into your life. It is a cycle of giving and receiving that transforms isolation into belonging and loneliness into warmth. Connection also brings resilience. When life feels heavy, the presence of even one person who believes in you can reignite your strength. When doubt whispers, their voice reminds you of your worth. When you stumble, their support steadies you. Alone, happiness can waver. Together, happiness is reinforced, strengthened, and sustained. But connection does not happen by accident. It requires intention. It means choosing to listen when it would be easier to talk. It means choosing to reach out when it would be easier to withdraw. It means valuing presence over distraction, honesty over pretense, love over indifference. Every choice to invest in connection deepens the roots of happiness within you. Happiness is not just a personal experience, it is a shared one. The smile you give, the kindness you show, the love you express become reflections of the happiness you carry within. And as you weave yourself into the fabric of others' lives, you create a happiness that is larger than yourself, one that endures because it is built on the timeless strength of human connection. Connection nourishes the soul, but it is gratitude that magnifies every drop of joy into an ocean. Gratitude shifts the focus from what is missing to what is present, from scarcity to abundance, from longing to fulfillment. The human brain is wired to notice threats, problems, and shortcomings. It is a survival instinct, but happiness requires more than survival. It requires training the mind to see what is good, to hold on to what is beautiful, to celebrate what is already here, instead of chasing endlessly for what might come next. Science has shown that gratitude reshapes the brain. People who practice it regularly experience less stress, stronger immune systems, and higher levels of happiness. Gratitude interrupts the spiral of comparison and envy. It silences the voice that whispers, "I need more to be happy," and replaces it with, "I already have so much to be grateful for." This shift is not denial of struggle, but a rebalancing of perspective. It is choosing to see light even while walking through shadows. Gratitude is not reserved for grand achievements or rare blessings. It is found in the breath you take, the sun that rises, the meal before you, the voice of someone you love. It is woven into every ordinary moment, waiting to be noticed. When you learn to see life this way, happiness becomes accessible not in some distant future, but in this exact moment, because gratitude anchors you in now, and happiness only ever exists in now. Practicing gratitude does not erase pain, but it gives pain meaning. It does not remove challenges, but it reveals the strength gained through them. It does not deny loss, but it reminds you of the love that once made loss possible. Gratitude transforms how you carry everything. It turns burdens into teachers, endings into beginnings, obstacles into opportunities. Imagine a shift in your heart when, instead of waking with dread, you wake with thankfulness. Thankful for breath, for the chance to try again, for even the smallest reason to keep going. Imagine ending each day not focused on what went wrong, but on what went right. However small, that practice reshapes your spirit, turning life itself into a gift instead of a burden. Gratitude also deepens connection. When you express appreciation for others, their value grows in their eyes and in yours. When you thank life for its gifts, you open yourself to receive more of them. Gratitude is not passive. It is a force that expands what you focus on. The more you practice it, the more reasons you discover to be grateful. Happiness thrives in an environment of gratitude because gratitude teaches sufficiency. It reminds you that while goals matter and growth is vital, happiness is not postponed until tomorrow. It can be embraced today. Gratitude frees you from the endless cycle of one because it shows you that what you already have holds more than enough to bring joy. When gratitude becomes your daily language, happiness stops being a fragile emotion and becomes a steady foundation. Life feels fuller, moments feel richer, and your heart feels lighter. Gratitude does not change what you see. It changes how you see. And in that change, happiness becomes not just possible, but inevitable.